welcome back to another episode of My Beautiful Chaos
2.0,
where you never know what you're going to get with your hosts, Misty and Faith. If you weren't here last week, part of My Beautiful Chaos is my daughter. She's part of this beautiful chaos. And so now she's a part of this podcast, show, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it could be the Misty and Faith show, the mom and daughter show.
It's
I don't
2.0
know.
because I improve it.
Because you improve it.
Yeah.
So last week we talked about school, and now we are going to get back to some of our normal My Beautiful Chaos stuff where we're talking about like giving a little message or whatever. But right now I love just learning about your experiences and I think it's important to hear your voice instead of just my voice.
Mm-hmm.
But we talked about school, and that's what we started on, and
Ended.
That's what we ended on. So that's what we ended on, and now I want to hear about school. I want to hear. You said you needed mental health days.
Yes, I think that most kids probably need mental health days at school because it's very draining.
And when you're in high school, the rules are if you're absent more than 2 days, you cannot be excused from your exams, even if your grade is, what do you have in geometry and Spanish?
I have a 92 in Spanish. So, I mean, it's not the best grade, but like I have a 92 in Spanish and I still can't be exempt. Like, even if you have a 99, you can't be exempt if you've missed more than 3 days.
Which is crazy. And the thing is I don't even think you've been absent those days. So we will check that. But I agree on the mental health days. Like, if you have a job, you get all these days off. Mm-hmm. I used to teach, so I know the reason behind it. Because if you're absent, it affects the funding that the school gets. So it's all money related. It doesn't matter what school you're in. That's why that's the rule.
Yeah, that's sad.
But as a substitute teacher, I also see that teachers are gone all the time and there's actually a substitute shortage. Mm-hmm. So there's some kind of disconnect.
Yeah, my teachers are gone more than like all of the students combined. There's
someone that I saw in the hall the other day who I subbed twice for one of your teachers. Mm-hmm. And he was... It's so funny that I remember the kids who are the loudest and most disruptive. They're great kids, but they're freshman boys, so it's just what happens. But he saw me in the hallway, and he said, "Oh, that's my Spanish teacher." I'm like, I subbed twice. I'm not the Spanish teacher.
You only subbed for my Spanish class one time.
Well, I couldn't help it. Sorry. But mental health days. Why do you feel like... you need a mental health day?
School is asking a lot of students, especially student athletes, which I am. And like, I'm staying during the season, I'm staying after school for an extra hour at least. Mm-hmm. And I'm staying for duels, tournaments, or like other sports will have like games and stuff pretty often, and so that's already, you can't do homework, and then school will give out homework depending on what classes you're in, and I usually try to finish it at school, but like it's asking a lot of the students, and sometimes you just need a break, you know, and it's so stressful. Like, it shouldn't be so stressful, but it's really stressful.
What is the most stressful?
The most stressful, probably just assignments in general. I get like 2 assignments per class per day. And they're usually all due at one time. And I procrastinate a lot. I probably get that from you and Elijah.
You definitely get that from me.
So I just get really stressed, like, the day of it being due, or when I get assigned it, I'm like, I either need to do this right now, or I'm not going to be doing it.
Okay, so pause with that. Hold that thought for just a minute. Geometry. Is it due tomorrow?
Algebra, and it is
the
due
compass?
tomorrow, I think.
So you've got to work on that tonight.
I know.
So we'll do
I'm going to
that.
have to have some coffee to keep me awake.
No, ma'am. Oh, and you got up early
For
today.
tomorrow, I'm going to have to.
Well, I got you some... Well,
yes.
I got you an energy drink.
I get so tired throughout the week because I have to wake up so early, and then sometimes I'll have to stay up late for class.
Oh my goodness, you slept Friday.
I know.
As soon as we got home from school, we were supposed to go to the gym, and you're like, no, I want to go to sleep. And then you woke up at what, like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock?
I think.
And
10,
that's when you
10:30.
ate dinner, and then you went back to sleep and didn't
Yep.
wake up until like 11 or 12 yesterday.
It was a
So-
really good sleep, though. That's all I can say.
Well, I think about, like, in your classes and all the assignments that you have to do. You said 2 per day. When I was
Per
a teacher,
class per day.
day. So 7 classes, which one of them is wrestling, but
Yeah.
still. When I was in school, it was definitely not like that. And when I taught school, it was not like that. Like, there's a lesson, and sometimes the class may be just the lesson with a couple of practices. And then the next day, we may be working on what we talked about. And rarely, I'm different. I know I'm not like every teacher, but I did not like giving homework. So rarely did you have homework in my class. And the only reason you would have it is if we're doing an assignment, you did not take the time that I knew you had enough time to do in class. So now you got to do it for homework. But 2 assignments in one day, I think is just, that's a lot. Especially your classes are like 50 minutes long.
55 usually.
But here's what I want parents to understand. How many of your classes, to be honest, and you don't have to name any subjects or anything, how many classes does your teacher actually stand up and teach the lesson?
Oh, wait. I got to think about this one.
So not watch a video.
My one class, and it's my college class.
Okay.
I didn't, like, one class, and that's it.
And that teacher teaches?
He doesn't teach what we're supposed to be getting taught. He just talks.
Okay.
But he's a great person.
Okay, so, but you have one teacher who teaches, and the rest, is it like a video of someone else teaching the lesson, and then you do the work on the computer also? Is that...
It's usually, like, assignments. Like, not even just being taught. It's just assignments. And then if it's something new, it'll be, like, a video or, like, what's it called?
Like a
Slideshow.
Quizlet-
Like
oh.
a slideshow.
So a video, is it ever your teacher teaching, or is it someone else teaching?
Sometimes, like...
And I know this also came in 2020 when the world changed and everything flipped upside down, and they had to figure something out because sometimes kids were working at home and sometimes kids were at school, but we're not living that anymore.
Yeah.
Man, do you remember that when you were homeschooled and then you wanted to go to public school? And so 2020, you go to public school that
All my
fall.
teachers stood up, though, in class and taught,
But-
usually.
I would take you out all the time because they didn't count absences
Literally, it
like
was so
that. And
nice.
so you didn't want to go to school. You were, if as long as you're passing your classes and getting your work done, I would just keep you home. So that's probably not a great example, but I could just see, like, when you were getting, especially this time of year, and I think it was when you were in 7th grade that it was so much.
Oh,
like,
it was
I
so
just would
difficult.
keep you at home, and you would do your work, and you were fine.
Yeah, I'm not very proud, but I would, like, not actually throw a fit, but I would be, like, almost in tears, some days in tears on the way to school.
The thing that made me the most mad is that I had to wake up to take you to school, and then, no, I think I was working then. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I do agree. Mental health days are so important. When I was a teacher, I always took the same, like, there's always a time in October I was going to take off for a personal day. There was always a time in December because I wanted to go Christmas shopping. or whatever, and I wanted to do it and beat the crowds, so I would take a day. And then it's harder in the spring because there would always be stuff for your school or for whatever, and then testing and all of that, and we weren't allowed to take off during those days. So I don't know. I needed mental break. I was going to say mental breakdown. I needed mental breakdown.
That's what happens when you don't get that.
I needed mental breakdown days. I do think that that's important. I do wish schools were a little bit different. I feel like more than 2 days is too little.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel
at
like
least
it should
make
be
it like
a
4.
Yeah, I was gonna say 4 or 5.
And then, especially if your grades are good. So here's my whole philosophy. Y'all, this is coming from a former educator. If you can master what I'm trying to teach you and you're not in my class, but you can still master it, you come every once in a while and you take the test and you got it, why do I care?
If I'm not there, like, every once in a while.
Yeah, and so that's why I always thought I should probably just be a college instructor.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how the college classes are. But I get it because for funding for the schools, they have to have a certain amount of attendance. Anyway, I get it, but I don't always agree with it.
Yeah. And what's worse is my total amount of work for the day, I can get more work done in less time when I'm home. Like, I can get all of my classes done within an hour or 2.
I do miss homeschool days.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I remember starting to fall asleep while I was teaching you math. I was so tired that day. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I'm like reading something and I'm starting to fall asleep, and all I remember, and nobody's going to be able to see because this isn't a video, but I just remember you being like right in front of my face and you're just like, do you need to go to sleep? Because I'm falling asleep and you're just like in front of my face following my head that's going down. And I just said, do you want to take a nap? You said, this is the best school ever. It was right when we started homeschooling. And
now I can just take a nap in whatever class. I'm just kidding. I don't. I mean, it depends on how tired I am.
Oh, when I'm subbing, I've had kids snoring. It's been crazy.
I always get scared that I snore.
But what I was going to say is I loved when we were homeschooling and we could be finished by 10-something. Or sometimes we didn't get started because something happened and I had to take my car in or I had to go do whatever. And so we would start at 5 o'clock. I'm cooking and we're going over spelling and things like that. And I enjoyed that. But you were so ahead when we were homeschooling.
Yeah, before that I thought I was stupid. I think my teachers thought I was stupid as well. Because they said that.
I don't think they said that. But I do think that there was a lot of comparing yourself with those students. The students you went to school with before we homeschooled you and we were in like a super private school, they would go to math camps and things like that in the summer and reading. And I did not do that. I wanted my time with my kids. And I hated how much homework y'all had so much homework at that school. It was crazy. But I think there was just too much comparison of I'm not reading as quickly as these other kids in my class, or those dang math facts I hated
Oh
so
my gosh, those
much.
were the worst things in the entire universe.
I think that's what made Elijah hate math. I think that I tried it different with you, and your teachers tried it a little bit different with you. I think instead of 100,
no, it was 160 minutes. You had to answer
not
100
60 minutes,
or like 30
it was like
or
a minute.
something.
5 minutes.
A minute for 100.
Okay, it was 105 minutes, I think.
No, it was an hour, I think, or less or something. Because we had it in like one class.
Y'all know it was 105 minutes.
I don't know, but it was horrible.
It was awful. It just, like, my whole thing was, what is most important, that you get it fast or that you get it right? Because if you can get it right and it's 5.5 minutes, then you should be fine.
Yeah.
But when we started homeschooling and I figured out the best way to teach you, I just know that every year you were finished, you had completed all of your entire textbook, curriculum, everything by February. And so then you would start the next class. So you were in 5th grade doing high school biology, which I believe was a college biology class. But it was high school biology, and I couldn't even make it. I kept making it harder, and it was never a challenge for you.
Yeah, and that's how I am in school right now, is I haven't learned anything since, like, elementary school, Mom.
Okay, again, we love your school.
I do.
But
it's just, I, like, retain energy quick, and I can see the patterns, and it's just not
But
new.
I think I was worried about that when we were going to public school. I said, I feel like you're going to be bored because you were already so far ahead.
Yeah.
But
biology was so fun this week. And on
what did
tomorrow,
you
okay.
wait, tomorrow? Go ahead with that one first.
No, I'll give the backstory
Okay.
first. So on Thursday, we started dissecting a pig fetus. And I think that's really cool because, like, they've got a similar, like, system, digestive and circulatory and stuff, to humans. And so we got to dissect it. And then on Monday, we get to dissect the cranium. They're the brain.
So you get to see the brain.
I know, isn't that so cool? I'm so excited.
See, she gets excited about things where you're actually doing things instead of just paper. I call it busy work, but it's not always busy work. Sometimes it's to make sure you to make sure you understand. But anyway, okay. So anything else about school? What is stressful? Like last week, you talked about you're glad that I didn't give you social media till later, and I still haven't given you full access to social media.
I don't
but
have
you
Snapchat,
don't even care.
And
So I love that you don't even care. Sorry,
I do hate. Before I got social media, people would be like, "Do you have Instagram?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Do you have TikTok?" I'm like, "No." And like stuff like that. And still now, I'll get the one social media app that I don't have, or like that kids my age use and I don't have, is Snapchat. And I'm okay not having it because there's some stuff on there that I don't want to see. Mm-hmm. But people will be like, "What's your Snap?" I'm like, nothing. I don't have.
Is there
Snapchat.
anybody else who doesn't have that you know of?
Yes, there's only like 2 people who don't, though. Who I'm friends with, and they're super sweet, but their parents are very strict.
More strict than me? More strict than I?
Currently, like you currently, yes, but you a few years back, or like, I'm not quite sure. I don't know.
I do feel like I was pretty strict. That's what we talked about last week, I know, but it wasn't to be mean. But we'll go back.
Yes, it was.
Well,
I'm
some
just
people I
kidding.
feel like just make rules to make rules. I feel like all of my rules had a purpose. And that's a whole different topic for a whole different day too. Just about like what I felt I was supposed to be the godly mom raising godly kids, and it just wasn't what I feel like it's supposed to be. But so social media and everybody having social media, does that cause additional stress in school? And
so, a lot of times when I'm bored during school and I'm like, I don't really have anything important to do, and if I do, I can just get it done in like 5 minutes, I'll be on like Instagram or something, right? But it's not super stressful. I mean, sometimes I'll be like, I should probably do this. But that's usually when I'm at home.
But do you feel like with people, like when someone gets mad at someone, or when someone, like, because I always hear about that. Like when I was in school, if I busted it in the hallway, people were going to laugh at me, and they may remember it for a week, maybe. But then they forget all about it. And somebody else busts it, and now they're the new person. But for y'all, it follows you.
So at my old school, it would definitely be a lot of rumors would get spread. And like, I didn't even have social media, but someone thought I started this Instagram page for people at the school. And all of my friends believed it too. And so one time my friend asked me about it. I was like, I don't even have Instagram. But, like, people have recorded me once. And someone said, hey, they were recording you. And I personally didn't care because, I mean, scary a video.
So you don't get stressed about stuff like
that. But
that.
I feel like,
Some people do.
yeah, some people, especially, I'm not a very social person. Some people are, like, big friend groups and stuff. I have like 5 friends at school.
I think that's a great size group.
It's like separately.
It's still.
But like people in bigger friend groups probably deal with that a lot more. And there will be social media pages where it's like people falling asleep during class.
I think that's crazy.
Fights. There was one that was bathroom pictures of people's feet. Like, people's feet under the stall in the bathrooms.
That's so weird to
Literally.
me. That's so weird to me.
Yeah.
Y'all just have a lot of different stressors.
And there's couples pages, too. Like, I've probably been ended up on those from, like...
Okay, so a little bit about school. We should close it for the day.
Yeah.
For this episode. So the next one, there are some things that I want to talk about in the next one that's more like, we're not like teaching a lesson about God, but we're going to talk about faith and how that has been a part of your life, how it's, of course, a part of my life. But we're going to talk about, I don't know, some things regarding faith and church and religion and beliefs and all of that stuff. All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye for now.